All right, this is question 5 of the Kilbaha 2025 exam. Now it says show that the composite function fog does not exist. So in doing this question, I'm going to first draw up a table. And in drawing up this table, I'm going to draw, we've got the domain, we've got the range, and we've got F, and we've got G. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to investigate what is the domain and range for each of these functions. So for F, I've got a square root underneath on the bottom. So I need to work out what my maximal domain is. Now in this case, any negative number for the x, so in other words, let's just solve this. We're trying to solve x minus 4 is equal to 0, x is equal to 4. So the question is, we've got 4, but is it going to be in the infinity or is it going to be in the negative infinity? In this case, we would say it's the positive infinity, because if we go to negative infinity, this becomes a negative square root and it becomes undefined. So we're going to say it is from 4 to infinity. Okay, and as a result, from going 4 to infinity, we need to think about what our range is, and since it's got that asymptote there, we're going to go from 4 to infinity, so it's from here, and it's going to be at 0. So 0 to infinity, not inclusive. Next one is, we've got a negative parabola. Now the negative parabola is of the form x5 minus x squared, x. So we've got here 0, 5, some sort of parabola that goes like that. All right, now what is the domain and range? The domain for this parabola, there's no restriction, so it's all real numbers. So I might say negative infinity to infinity. And the range of this graph will be up to whatever the turning point is, but up to negative infinity. So if we do a quick completing the square of this equation, so we've got negative x squared plus 5x. If we do a completing the square, that becomes negative x squared. We've got minus 5x. Okay, so that completes to x squared minus 5x plus 25 on 4, because we've got to take the 5, half it, and then square it. So I'm going to write this maybe as 5 on 2 squared. Okay, and we're going to balance it out on the other side. So we end up getting equals 25 on 4 on the other side. And then when we rearrange this, we get the equation as negative x minus 5 on 2 squared minus 25 on 4. So the turning point is going to be at 25 on 4. So 5 on 2, 25 on 4. That's positive, sorry. Yeah. Subtract. Positive, yeah. Yep. Okay. So from this point, we need to then say this is up to 25 on 4. And it's inclusive because it's a turning point that is defined at that point. So we need to have a look at when does fog does not exist. The condition for this is fog does not exist if the range of G, range of G is a subset of the domain of F. Now in this case, we'd have a look, and the range of G is negative infinity to 25 on 4. Okay, is that a subset of domain of f? The domain of f is 4 to infinity. So 25 on 4 is not a subset. Therefore, fog does not exist. Okay. So now the next question follows on with, if it doesn't exist, how can we make it exist? So we need to have a look at what's stopping us from making this, like what's wrong with this. At the moment, we see 25 on 4. Does that fit within the domain? Yes. The problem is this negative infinity. It doesn't fit within this particular domain. So in order for it to be defined, we need to knock this negative infinity such that, I guess you could say, the range is at 4. So the range of g needs to end at 4. So what we need to do now is we need to have a look at g. In this case, g is 5x minus x squared. And we're going to see, where does that actually equal 4? So if we rearrange this, we get negative x squared plus 5x minus 4 equals 0. Take a negative out, x squared minus 5x plus 4 equals 0. And then from here we can factorize. Let's take that negative over to the other side since we're solving. This becomes x minus 1, x minus 4 equals 0. So therefore our solutions are x is equal to 1, x is equal to 4. But what does that actually mean? Is it going to be above or is it going to be below? And if we investigate this graph here, if we go x is equal to 1, x equals 4, okay, we want that domain. That domain is where it's going to be defined. So the question is, what's the domain for where this can be defined? Well, it can be defined for x is in between 1 and 4, and it can include, no, it can't include in this case, because if we've got 1, okay, so now the domain of f is 4, so that means we can't include 4, so that means this one here is non-inclusive, because the domain of f is not included in this case, so it's round brackets or non-inclusive. So as a result of that, now that we've got the domain, it says fully define h of x with the rule and the domain. So now we're going to find what actual fog is. So fog is equal to, when we sub it in, we've got 1 over the square root of 5x minus x squared minus 4. And then so if we write this in fully fledged definitions, or we can write this for the bounds of x is between 1 and 4. So the key thing here is to recognize that when you've got fog and goff, if it's not defined from this step here, how do we knock it so that it is defined? Okay, and what we knocked was the range. So as a result of that, to get this range, what did we need to restrict the domain to?